Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, guys.
Is that better?
Yeah,
All right.
now you look like a pilot.
That's right. Bring it in for a landing.
There we go.
So, the new year is coming, isn't it?
Yeah, faster than we thought it was gonna.
6 weeks away.
I know.
A lot of people are talking about, what they're going to do for the new year already. They're already talking about their New Year's resolutions. And like Aaron said on our call 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, he said, by the end of February, over 90% of people have already fallen off that wagon.
Giving up.
They've given up. And so we really have to talk about the importance of lifestyle changes. What do people need to do long term
Right.
to make it work, And so I thought instead of talking about weight loss or weight management or anything like that, we'd talk about body composition.
That's a good idea.
Body composition. And, I was just looking at some charts this morning. I jotted down some notes like I do every week. And, ideally, they say that for somebody to have a good body composition, a man should be 11 to 14% body fat. A female should be 16 to 23%. Acceptable, 15 to 20 for a male, 24 to 30% for a female. 21 to 24% is considered overweight for a male. 31 to 36% body fat is considered overweight for a female. Over 24% body fat is considered obese for a man, and over 37% is obese for a woman.
And body composition is the best way to determine things other than just weight. So many people just go by weight. And really it's not weight. You can weigh heavier with more muscle. So you have to go by body composition.
Yeah.
For instance, when my daughter was in high school, she weighed probably around 150, and she was like a size 8. That may not mean anything to you, but it's a small size. And I weighed more like 135, and yet I wore a 14 because she was solid muscle and I wasn't. So she weighed 15, 20 pounds more than me, but she was 3 sizes smaller than me.
Yeah, but she was solid muscle and she was younger.
Yeah.
So this is the average. That's the acceptable, and that's what's considered to be overweight and obese and things like that. So this is the average population in the United States. For a female, the average at up to the age of 30 is 14 to 21. The average for a male is 9 to 15. For a 30 to 50-year-old, average female is 15 to 23. Average male is 11 to 17%. Over 50, the average female is 16 to 25. And the average male is 12 to 19% body fat. So overall, I really have to say, based on that, our averages fall into acceptable range. Wouldn't you say?
Really?
Based on the numbers I just gave you.
How many people actually go out and measure their body fat somewhere?
Yeah, how many people report it, but I suppose the doctors report it and things like that. They say that a third of Americans are overweight, and let's see, what percent of the population? 13% of the population in the world is considered obese. Worldwide, that's 650 million people are obese. 650 million people worldwide are considered obese. Those are some big numbers, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just go to your local mall and look around.
Go to Walmart.
Go to a football game, look around. Go to a basketball game, look around.
Yeah. You know, I I like looking at those, when they post those pictures, photos from Walmart or whatever. And boy, I mean, it really shows you how many people are overweight. I mean, we got some big people. We got some crazy people, but we got some big people too. Yeah.
Yeah. And we've brought this up before, but if you go back and look at photos or movies from, say, the 60s, the 50s, you hardly see an obese person in those movies or in those photos, just photos people took of the public.
But people worked a lot harder then. They did a lot of manual labor, didn't they?
I don't think that was all that contributed to it.
Oh, I don't think it's all that contributed to it, but I think it contributed a lot.
I don't know. I think it was pretty much about the same as it is today.
No, no. I mean, we're a sedentary society right now. I mean, people are sitting there working behind computers just like I am right now.
Oh yeah, probably more blue collar back then.
Kids kids are sitting in the house playing video games rather than going outside and coming in. I remember my mom telling us, you come home when the street lights come on.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I just had a high school classmate post a picture in one of our, remember when groups on Facebook. He's standing there. He was probably 16 with his shirt open, him and his brother, solid six pack, solid. Like this kid was built. And somebody said, "Wow, what a six pack." And he said, "Oh, yeah, well, I moved a lot of hay bales that summer or irrigation pipe, that kind of thing." And, so, it was just amazing to see that he had that six pack back in the late 60s.
Yep. But again, there moving bales, moving irrigation pipe by hand. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and well, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that we did, and so I think we're going to see more problems because we've got a society with a lot of young people right now who are living pretty leisurely lifestyles.
They are. And then there's people who may think they're living more of an active lifestyle because 2 or 3 times a week they go out and take a walk or, go climb a mountain once in a month or whatever. And they're like, "Oh, yeah, I'm doing, compare that to somebody who's just active all day rather
Yeah.
than just, there's a difference there."
But back in those days, I mean, like I'm saying, we had to work. I mean, we played outside, things like that. Now, in order to get exercise, people are going to the gym. They're
Mm-hmm.
having they go for runs, they go jogging, things like that. Where back then you didn't have to do additional exercise; it was just part of your day.
Right. Right.
Yeah. But whatever the case, you know, I think that adds a lot to it, exercise and getting the right exercise, building those muscles because it's the
Mhm.
lean muscle that burns the sugar as fuel. It's the lean muscle that burns the energy, burns the fat as energy, right?
Right. Right.
And then we take a look and we look at what we're eating as a society. We eat a lot of processed food. You and I pointed it out. I mean, when I was a kid, I remember I'd go to the grocery store with my parents, and it was, I mean, we didn't have all the processed food, the boxed food, the canned food, things like that. Now that makes up 90% of the grocery store.
Yeah.
You know, I'll run through those aisles to grab some spices, maybe to grab some, soup or something like that, some condiments and things like that. But I spend most of my time in the grocery store on the outside edge because that's where all the freezer and cooler space is. Because, I mean, this time of year we don't have a lot of fruits and vegetables. It has to be, you know, shipped in. But so that's really really important, and cut way back on those sugars. We have to cut back on those sugars.
Yep, carbs and sugars.
And I know you've always kind of been a proponent, advocate for the keto diet.
Yes, I think
You
it's the answer to so many people's up and down weight problems.
and why do you think a keto diet is so important today versus, I don't know, let's say 50 years ago or 100 years ago?
Well, I don't think there was a conversation about the keto diet until about 6 years ago, really. I mean, there was in the medical field, people who were researching that, but for the average person, they had no clue what ketosis was or keto. They'd never heard of it. I've watched this revolution of keto happen because it was about 5 years ago that I first was exposed to that information, and it was brand new to me. But when I went out and did all the research and followed all the experts on, YouTube, Dr. Finney and Dr. Peter Attila and all of those people, and gained some knowledge, and I went, oh my gosh, this is the missing link of all this up and down yo-yo crap that's been going on for the last 50 years, because we used to eat naturally that way.
You think we
Not
used to eat
only were we
naturally? You
we
think?
used to
Wait,
eat
wait.
naturally keto, yes, because you didn't have fresh fruits and vegetables all through your grocery store. You didn't have these processed foods and stuff like that. People
Yeah, but
ate
wait,
from
wait,
the
wait, wait,
farm.
wait, 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 wait. I'm gonna stop you. I'm gonna stop you because I remember back when I was a kid. Back when I was a kid. No, we didn't. We didn't. I mean, we weren't on a. No matter what you called it, we just called it eating. But you know,
Right?
I remember. We didn't eat. Fat and meat as our primary source of food.
Well, you're 10 years younger than I am.
So
And
in
I'm
that
not
10
I'm
years,
not necessarily saying in the 50s or 60s, but previous to that, people ate meat, they ate cheeses, they ate lard. My grandmother cooked in lard the whole time I was a child.
yep.
So there was a lot more exposure to animal fats, and they had natural butter, not this fake chemical stuff people eat. They had milk from the farm, most people, because they had cows, unless they're in the city, of course. And even then, it was delivered to the city. We had milkmen delivering milk, like real
Yeah.
milk,
Oh
real
yeah. Whole
butter.
milk, whole raw milk. Yep, we did too. But
Mhm.
I'm just saying that, I mean, we still had our pastas and our rices and our cereals and, boxed cereal for breakfast and things like that. We didn't eat bacon and eggs for breakfast. Not, I mean,
No,
I
but if you go back a little further than that, that's pretty much how people lived. And so they were more muscular back then than we are today. We're mushy today.
we're
So
mushy.
we're mushy. And
Hey, you know what the proper term for that is?
no,
Sarcopenic.
sarcopenic, more fat than muscle, less muscle.
Sarcopenic. Yep, yep. That's it. Not enough muscle mass.
Yep. And we've talked about before, loss of muscle has an effect on a lot of things in the body, even neurogenesis. So,
Oh yeah, I was just jotting down, some of the things, that based on different things. So if you have proper body composition, it lowers your risk for cardiovascular disease, right? Because when you don't have the right body composition, what ends up happening is that you end up kind of getting the atherosclerosis in your arteries that increases your risk of having heart attacks, strokes, things like that,
mhm.
right? Um, Having the right body composition lowers your risk of type 2 diabetes. It lowers your risk of osteoporosis. Did you know that? When you have the right body composition, it decreases your risk of metabolic syndrome. It increases your cognitive function so you can think more clearly because your brain is made up of 60 to 70% fat. You have more energy And based on all the studies that are out there, if you have the right body composition, you're going to live longer and you're going to have a better health span, right? And you and I have talked about health span in the past too,
Yeah, how long you're healthy.
right? Because who cares
Yeah.
if you stay alive till you're 120 years old, but the last 20 years of your life or last 40 years of your life, you can't leave your house because you're too sick. So,
Right.
but like I said, people are aware that they need to do something to create this proper body composition. I can sit
Mm-hmm.
here in my dining room, and all day long, every hour, I'll see people jogging or running or going for walks with their dogs up and down the street. Hey, did you see my post on Facebook this morning? I know you're not a big Facebooker anymore, but my post on Facebook, it said that if you have a dog in the house, it increases your or decreases your risk of developing allergies.
Really? No, I
Yeah,
never saw that before.
if you have a dog in the house when you're young, so when your kids were young, if you had a dog in the house, it lowers their risk of getting allergies.
Because they're tracking in all the allergens from outdoors.
Yep, and just overall, yeah, it helps. So some of the things that we can do, like we've talked about exercise, we can eat right. Um,
Yep.
keto diet, intermittent fasting. I like intermittent fasting. That's one that I've really grabbed a hold of in the last couple of years, and I like it. Where
Mm-hmm.
I'll consciously think about, okay, like yesterday, I didn't eat from Sunday night at my last bite of food was at 7 o'clock on Sunday night, and I didn't
Mm-hmm.
eat anything until last night at 8 o'clock. I went 25 hours without eating.
Yeah. I've been practicing that too. Typically, I just go all night. Like I usually eat about 6, and I go all night and don't eat until 1 or 2 in the afternoon.
There you go. Yeah, they're saying anything over 16 hours and it's good for you. And then we came up with that product a couple of years ago called Ripped.
Yes.
You know,
Sizzle
that's a
rip.
that's a really great product and a lot of research in it. $25 million plus some in research associated with the National Institutes of Aging and National Institutes of Health, and they discovered that your body at a certain age, it shuts down the communication system that tells your body to build new lean muscle. And
Right.
I was looking that up this morning. Did you know that at the age of 40, you lose 8% of your muscle mass per decade? You start losing 8% of your muscle mass per decade at the age of 40.
Yeah, I believe it.
And at the age of 70, that doubles. You lose over 15% of your muscle mass per decade. I mean, I can see it in my parents. My parents turned 80 this year, and in the last couple of years, not this year, in the last couple of years, and you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
They've both lost some lean muscle mass, um, and that leaves people weaker. It leaves them more prone to falling,
Yeah.
and like we've talked about that, with older people getting osteoporosis and things like that. Um, hmm, yeah. So, but proper
Yep. You
body.
can you can you can figure that out by just exercising your legs really good for 2 to 3 weeks and feel the difference of how you walk, how you connect with the ground, how you connect with steps. I remember when I first got my Bowflex and started really working out, and then I built up my leg muscles really strong. And it used to be before that, when I'd step off a curb, you kind of plop down there. And after my legs got strong, I had full control of my body stepping off the curb and actually recognized that, hey, I'm not plopping down on the ground with my foot like I used to. It's like walking on air practically. Like it's easier to move, easier to control your balance.
That's cool. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, you and I have talked a lot about vitamin D, with this whole coronavirus thing, how important it is to keep your vitamin D levels up.
Yeah.
I didn't really realize that vitamin D is important for maintaining muscle strength and performance. Did you know that vitamin D?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. So they found that here's a study that they did. I don't know how many thousands of people they put on the study, but they did a study over the course of 9 months, and they put these the control group on 1,000 milligrams of vitamin D3, and they found, with that being the only change, that they had a 25% increased strength in the legs
Wow.
just just by increasing the vitamin D levels to 1,000 milligrams per day.
I thought vitamin D was measured in international
Unit,
units.
units, yeah. I'm betting that should say 1,000 units rather than 1,000 milligrams.
Okay.
I might have wrote it down wrong.
Okay.
I made a mistake once. Well, I thought I did, then I found out I didn't. So I really haven't.
once once in your lifetime, right?
That's right. But and they find that body composition is affected by genetics. They find
Yeah.
that body composition is affected by metabolism, so what you eat, and they find that it's affected by your environment as well. So like
Hmm.
we were talking about environment, that would be, like that kid in your high school class that threw bales and well pipe all day, right?
Right.
That's the environment. That's your environment, and and it all affects your joints. You're
Right.
gonna have, if you're carrying around, extra body weight, it makes you more sore, it makes your joints wear out.
Hmm.
Knees and hips are gonna wear out faster.
Oh yeah. Look at
Um,
all the people who are, probably considered obese. They always have knee issues because their knees just can't support the weight.
yep. And then there's certain kinds of cancer that are triggered by being overweight as well.
Probably more the endocrine types of things.
Yeah, yeah. So there's certain kinds of cancer that are going to be triggered by it. I know breast cancer is one of them. That's ovarian cancer, some of the female cancers, probably prostate cancer too, for that matter. But yeah, by
Hmm.
being overweight. So we all want to make sure that we try and get that under control. And so the New Year's coming. It's going to be a New Year's resolution for probably a lot of us. Me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just like last year, I mean, I remember last year about this time, we started talking about this same thing because I said, "Hey, look, we're moving into the holiday season. The average person gains 5 pounds between Christmas and New Year, or between Thanksgiving and New Year's.
Right.
So if we can get people to start being aware of it early, you know, so
Yep.
so
So
so if we could
be
try
active,
and
be
go ahead.
active, eat better, be determined, avoid sugars and processed foods. I mean, it's
Yep.
pretty easy. It's it's just a change of thinking. That's all it is. You just gotta be determined, make up your mind, and sometimes that's a process. You
Yeah.
struggle with that for a while, and then one day it just flips, and you're like flipping a light switch, and you're like just not doing that anymore.
Yep. And if you could constantly think about it, like Andrea and I were talking about, I mean, so she'll have a meal at 6 o'clock at night, and she won't eat again till 1 o'clock the next day. Okay. I'll do the same thing. Some days, like yesterday, I went 25 hours between eating anything,
You
and
didn't die, did you?
I got plenty of fat to live on. I could probably go.
Right? You
I
have
could
your
probably
fuel there.
I could probably go a few days. I probably should do that. I should probably go a few days. A friend of mine did that. He went 2 weeks, just um, making sure he got his nutrients, and that's all he did. He didn't eat for 2 weeks.
Well, it might sound really hard to people who are actually pretty much sugar burners, and they're craving food all day long. The trick is to get yourself into ketosis, and then you're actually burning body fat for fuel, so you won't be hungry.
That's right. And
Yeah.
and you might feel a little bit sick. You might feel a little bit run down when you first do it. That's normal.
It's called the keto flu a little bit. I've never had it, never experienced it. My daughters get it when they
Yeah,
flip into
yeah. And so, have you ever used the keto sticks?
keto sticks. Mean like exogenous ketones?
Yeah, you take it's just like a pH strip, and you
Oh,
and
at once. I did it once. My daughter
yeah.
buys them and checks because she likes to cheat, and then she figures out how far she can cheat.
So
But
how
no,
much?
I tried it at her house one day, and I was in full ketosis, and I was like, whatever. I can tell when I'm in and when I'm out, because when I'm out, I'm hungry. When I'm not hungry.
Yeah, yeah. I find that when I'm trying to do the keto style lifestyle diet changes, I find that for me, if I have one um, sugar dense carbohydrate,
Hmm.
it makes me crave more.
Yeah, yeah.
It makes me crave more. So I got to make sure that if I'm going to have something, that I don't have a lot of it around. Like if I buy a candy bar, I don't want to be in a store when I eat it.
So you don't buy a whole bag. I hear you there. So anybody that, is like, oh, this keto thing sounds good. I've tried it. It was pretty hard. I went through about a year of that, trying and everything. And my daughter turned me on to, this is just a little helpful hint, an app that you can get called Carb Manager. And
Carb
last
manager.
Carb Manager, and it takes a little bit of a learning curve to learn how to use it. She actually had to like walk me through it because it just seemed confusing to me. But once I got it, I got it. So you can enter your foods. And we typically eat all the same thing over and over and over. We don't have 100 different varieties of things we eat. So once you've established, what you're going to eat and you've got it in the carb manager daily, you can go in and go, okay, had that, had that, had that, had that. And it will give you a pie graph of how much fat you had, how much protein, how many carbs.
Oh,
So you
sure.
have,
Put it in a pie graph.
and and it also based on your height, your weight, your age, and all of that will give you like how many carbs you're allowed to achieve what you want to achieve. And it helped me immensely. Like I only used it for about 5 or 6 weeks because after that, I pretty much knew what I could eat and what I couldn't eat.
And what's it
You know,
called again? Carbs,
carb, no, carb manager.
carb manager without an S.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it's a
Yeah.
free app found on Google Play and Apple Store.
Yep. It's free. Yep. So
All right.
yeah, so I used it for, that long, and then it was just pretty much redundant because I already knew what my measurement, I knew what I was eating and I knew what the
Yeah,
outcome would
because
be.
we're creatures of habit. We eat the same thing, over and
Mhm,
over and over again.
mhm.
You know.
Well, the one thing that did surprise me is so like my carbs were, I think I could have 18 or 20 a day or something like that. And um I was with a friend one day and he had a bag of those little Snickers. They're not even an inch by an inch, right?
Right.
They're not
Right.
even that big. And I thought, oh, one of these isn't gonna. Surely I have enough carbs, because I was eating pretty strict, and I can have a couple of these. So I had 3 of them, and I got back and I actually entered all this stuff into Carb Manager and went, whoa! Like one of them was 56 carbs or something. I was like,
Wow. No kidding.
well, I blew it today, you know.
No, that's
So,
why I felt so crappy on Sunday, because on Saturday I was out deer hunting with my friends, and in his cooler he had all the leftover Halloween candy,
yeah,
and I thought, well, I'll just grab one of these little Reese's peanut butter cups. It's just the little ones, and
yeah,
then I'm like, well, they're so small, I'll grab 5.
right, right.
Yeah,
When we do that stuff, if people are really tuned in, they're going to recognize that their energy goes low after the initial boost. And when you do something like that, you're feel like crap. Like, especially if you're doing keto and you decide to just go binge and eat a bunch of crap, you feel like crap because your body's so used to getting the right fuel that when you give it bad fuel, it's like chug, chug, chug.
Yeah, yeah. It's like dumping, water in your gas tank along with your
Yeah.
gas. Water it down a little bit. I mean, your engine's still going to run, but not very good.
No high performance.
Yeah. So, well, Andrea, we had a great discussion today, and I think people, they want to know this stuff, and heck, let's start getting everybody ready for the new year, and let's make 2021, well, first let's shut off 2020 and forget it ever happened, but let's make 2021 the best year ever, and get healthy and kind of do a total reset on our body, and so. I'll hand it over to you and I'll let you close out the call. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Doc. And just another thing, if people are interested in making any change in life, it's so important to put that in front of your face constantly. Like, have visuals, have a saying that you quote every day, of what, like, make a determined effort, not just go, oh, I'm going to do this without any outside influence. Yeah, we get influenced by the outside constantly, but create your own influence on yourself, and make a determination that you're going to do something, and then just go for it.
There you go.
Thanks,
All right.
Doc.
Thanks for being
Thank
here with us
you.
every day. All of you, thanks for being with us again. And
Okay, we'll see you next Tuesday at noon Eastern time.
bye.
Bye.